Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and today we are at Immanuel Lutheran Church in Tilsit, Missouri. With me is Matt Palisch. Matt is normally organist of St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Jackson, Missouri, which is just down the road, and also adjunct professor of organ at Southeast Missouri State University.
Correct.
Which is in Cape Girardeau, also not far away.
Right.
Today, though, we're here to see this instrument. Tell me about this organ.
This is a 1925 Hinners pipe organ built in Pekin, Illinois by John Hinners and various associates that came after that. It's a four-stop instrument with the added bourdon in the pedal, one manual, divided stops, and really a beautiful instrument in this space.
And you said this was 1925.
1925.
Now, Hinners started out building reed organs in
Correct.
Pekin, and he used the same divided concept for one manual instrument, and then eventually branched out into pipes.
Right.
So we just have four ranks plus the pedals. Let's just start. I want to hear some of it.
Okay.
Let's start with the diapason, some of which is out here in the facade of the organ.
Yes, in the facade, and then right behind the facade, outside the swell box, because of course everything else is enclosed. So. Big and wolfy. It carries.
Well, but it's clear too. It
absolutely
fills the room
sings very well. Yes.
I should add we have fantastic acoustics in this room, so
it's very nice.
That does help. Now, of course, you have to pull two stops since it is divided in order to get both treble and bass there.
Right, because the treble just handles from middle C up, and then you have nothing if you pull the bass of it. Nothing until you get to middle to B.
So after our diapason, what's next?
We have an 8-foot gedeckt, Lieblich gedeckt, which is also very lovely.
Smooth and calm there.
Right,
Colorful,
and that's in the box, so as you close it down. It does fade away a little bit.
Yeah, very effective. All right, and then what do we have?
Gamba, viola da gamba, which is very stringy, works really well with the principal. It gives it a little bit more of almost a reedy quality. And of course, shares the bass with the gedeckt.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's a very thin scale, very bright.
But
What does that sound like?
Almost more of a Geigen quality when you
different.
get the string.
What does it sound like with the flute, the 8-foot flute?
Very nice, almost Celeste quality.
That's that sound I think of that early 20th century flute and string that's called for in so much music. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and then we have a 4-foot flute.
4-foot, just labeled flute, then treble and bass.
Let me hear it just by itself. What is that?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Oh, it's very. It's a very sweet little flute.
It is.
But it blends well with those others. So. How does that? So let's put on the principal at 8-foot.
Okay.
And then with the 4-foot, how does that brighten up the principal? Does it?
Principal dominates for sure. Not much difference. Yeah, the open holds the room.
It does. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's play with the divided thing. I want to see how we can use this to our advantage. So if I'm going to play a melody in my right hand, I might use the viol and the flute.
Yeah, let's try this. So that's the 4-foot in the right hand, and of course you have to stay below middle C with the accompaniment. The gamba's pretty big though. It's sort of.
Let's put the flute on, both bass and treble.
Okay.
But put the 4-foot on in the treble.
Okay.
And so now if you have chords in your left hand, and then you have a melody in the right hand, it just adds enough to bring it out. But really, a really prominent voice might be the diapason in the treble by itself.
Absolutely.
Against the flutes. So yeah, you have some options there with what you can do with just these four ranks.
Right.
We also have a tremolo. Does that actually function?
I'm not sure. chords can't be too thick in
Right,
the
right,
left
well,
hand.
of course, with that big flute.
Right.
So let's talk about the pedal too. Now we've got how many notes do we have?
From middle D down, it's in the very back of the case.
Okay, so we have 14 pipes there, just from middle D.
Correct.
For that octave. And as I recall, in Hinners' literature, he says you just never need to use anything higher than that for church music.
Right.
So they only gave you that bottom octave.
It's the left-footed organ.
Exactly. But you do have a coupler, so you can couple down.
Yeah, so I can take the open down, for example, and come down from. And you just notice that the 16 falls out.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well,
But it's okay.
It's a way to solve the problem of having some pedal in a small
And
organ.
save space.
Exactly.
Right, right. And we have a super coupler.
A super coupler.
That's when it really gets exciting.
Now this is to just super couple the manual to itself.
Yes, the manual to itself.
Now this is something that I know. There's no 2-foot in this organ, and Hinners sometimes, if the organ's got big enough, would have a 2-foot.
Right.
But he always made a way to make it 2-foot.
Yeah, so if I pull the super coupler on just with the open 8-foot, we've got that extra octave, so we have 8 and 4 principals going, and then if we add that 4-foot flute, then we get our 2-foot.
That's a lot of sound out of just 4
It's a
ranks.
lot of sound out of actually 2 ranks.
2 ranks only, because you don't even have the string on there.
Right.
And the flute. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
impressed.
think it is interesting to mention, at least what I've learned from organ builder friends and so forth, that these organs weren't necessarily built to play full organ. A lot of times wind became an issue. If you pulled all 3 8-foots and the 4-foot and had the 16 going, especially if you were down in the low end of the pedal board. So I've sort of come to the conclusion that the gamba, the open, and the 4-foot flute are full organ, and the 8-foot gedeckt is sort of wasted wind.
Well, and that was an important consideration when the wind was raised by hand.
Right.
Because we have an electric blower now, but we actually have.
We can still hand pump.
So, and
I
we
think
can
we
see
should.
how horrible that would be.
I
to
think
have
we
to pump.
should.
All right,
yeah,
we'll give it a shot.
absolutely.
So inside, the first thing we see here is our bellows handle for pumping up this instrument. Everything's in this one box. So there's our gamba, gedeckt, and our 4-foot lute, and then the open diapason is all out here in front with bits tubed off to go to the facade. So the side pipes here on this expansion are dummies with all the playing pipes in the front. And then that's an interesting swell linkage. The swell is on a rocker arm, goes up to another rocker, all the way up and closes from the top. I've not seen one quite that complicated before. The key trackers are right here. They're not very long. They just go straight up into the chest. There. Pedal trackers are down there. So our treble stop action's on this end. Those linkages go through those little round. Interesting, it's all metal linkages from the stop knobs to the stop action. And of course the bass action's on the other side. Tubing for the pedal has been replaced with plastic tubing, which unfortunately is starting to decay and causing some issues, but that's a simple fix. Other than that, everything in here is pretty original. The tremolo's over there on the floor, but the arm for it is right here. There's just a slider valve. And it just lets air from the chest into the tremolo through that long pipe. Yeah, there's our octave of 16-foot Bordens plus 2. Interesting that they went all the way up to D. And there's the actual tremolo. It looks a whole lot like the Pfeffer tremolo we saw a few weeks ago. Just has a dump valve and mechanics inside to turn it on and off. These are the base end of the stop action. And then the bottom end of the diapason are these wooden pipes. It doesn't go all the way down to 8 foot. They're actually just stopped flutes. That helped it to fit under a small ceiling. Nothing is higher than the top of the swell box on this one. Well, Matt, thank you for showing us this wonderful 1925 Hinners instrument.
You're very welcome.
Now, one thing I want to mention is this would have been purchased by the church and would have shown up in town on a train in a box.
Yes.
The church folks had to go down, pick it up, and somebody from Hinners would show up later and impact the organ because it was a catalog organ.
Right.
They made a lot of these that were the same, and in fact, there's 2 more very close by.
There are.
Which would have made sense. When the guy came to town, he probably went around to the other churches and sold a few. So next week, we're going to be back. We're going to see 2 more almost identical instruments to this one. So make sure you subscribe so you get notifications for when our videos go online. And remember, if you want streaming classical organ music 24 hours a day, visit our 3 stations, organlive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. Thanks for watching. I'm Brent Johnson. I'll see you next time.